Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. I am here for a book review. I was thinking I really should do my book reviews sitting in front of my bookcase instead of my craft room because, I've watched all the other ones that have book reviews and they sit in their library or whatever. I don't have a library. I just like to read. I can't read 7 to 10 page books a month either. I can only read probably one book a month. But this month I read Kristin Hannah, Great Alone, The Great Alone. The Great Alone by Kristin Hannah. It was 549 pages. Yeah. And I thought, I'm never going to get through this book. But old Kristin, she's a good writer, and she sucked me in, and I just wanted to read all the time. So what does that mean when I want to read all the time? What is my rating for those books when I want to read all the time? It's always out of a 5, 1 to 5. It's always a 4 or 5 if I'm always wanting to get back to that book, right? Because I've got to work, I've got to craft, I've got to do my house, I've got all kinds of things. For me to sit down and snuggle into a couch or a chair and read for 4 hours just is not going to happen. I mean, the most I can read at one time is probably 45 minutes, and then I got something else to do. I do read a lot at night when I go to bed, but that lasts about a half an hour and then I get sleepy. I read on my breaks at work, but I got through this book. I think it took me about 3 weeks. Let's see, 4 or 5 for a rating. What am I going to give it? I'm not sure. About page 300 in, I was thinking, this is going to take a while, but then I got right back on track. Now, I talked to another friend that we belong to book club with. She hated this book. She said she felt like Kristin Hannah was just trying to write a bestseller, blockbuster video or, movie. She feels like Kristin Hannah is trying to make this so that it will sell for a movie. If it does, I'll be right there to watch it. I will go to movie theaters and watch this if it becomes a movie. It is about a family of 3, husband, wife, and child. The daughter is 13 years old. They live in Seattle. It's taking place in 1970. I think it's 1971 when she is 13 years old. And her dad just comes back from Vietnam. He didn't just come back, of course. Vietnam's over by 71. But he was in Vietnam, but he was a prisoner of war for 6 years after the war was over. And so, of course, he's all messed up in the head. Back in the 70s, they were more just like shake it off, walk it off, don't think about it. That's how they handled PTS back then, right? Okay, so one of the guys that he was prisoner with war, and when he was in camp with this other guy, had put somehow in his will, if anything ever happened to him, that Ernest would get, they called him Ernst, would get his house. And it was like a cabin on some land in Alaska, off grid. Okay, no electricity, no running water in 1971 at the time. And I don't know about you, but I was around in 1971 and we had flushable toilets and we had electricity. And anyways, so the guy dies and he wills it to Ernst and his family. And so they pack up from Seattle and move to Alaska. The little girl is, like I said, she's 13, and she said she's always, Jenny, get out of there. And she always feels like she hasn't fit in. They don't have a lot of money. Her parents are hippies. Her dad's got PTS. All these things against her. Kids make fun of her. She'd moved several times. Her dad could never hold a job down. They get to Alaska. The Alaskans on this little town, I can't pronounce it. It's off of Homer, Alaska, where you have to take the ferry from Homer over to this island that the house is at, the cabin's at, that they were willed. Well, anyways, everybody in this little town is a very small town, very close town. They all welcomed them into the town. They welcomed the mom, the daughter, and the husband. As rough as he was, they welcomed him in. The guy that willed him the property, his father and sister were still alive. The sister was married, had 2 kids. They lived off grid as well. And so all of them would teach them, how to can, how to grow your garden in the summer, how to hunt and how to fish and how to preserve that meat. And so they really fit in. The little girl loved it. And then she found out she could actually go to school. And when she went to school, she fit in at school. Everybody loved her at school. There was only one little boy the same age as her named Matthew. Okay, I don't want to give a lot away, but now we skip till she's 18. She's fallen in love with Matthew. Matthew's father, his parents came there to this island when Matthew's father was little, and so they are like 3rd generation to live at this island. He has more money than the most of them do, but he's always really welcoming to everybody. Everybody likes him, but Ernst does not like him. He thinks he's arrogant. Now, what did I forget to tell you about Ernst? He gets very physical with his wife, and he's very abusive when he drinks, and so there's a lot of that in the book, but he never lays a hand on the daughter. Okay. And the mother always sticks up for him. She always takes him back. She's just in that repetitive cycle. Now, I don't want to give this whole book away because this was a great book. But by the time the girl turns 18, so much has happened in her life. Lenny is her name, Leonora. So much has happened in her life with her parents and with Matthew and with the town. And it's just an awesome book. Okay, that's it. I've made the decision. I'm giving it a 5 out of 5 because it is just that good of a book. And yeah, there were some parts where it kind of drug on, but it just... what a story. What a story. It was on the New York Times bestseller. So, of course, an epic story from the Washington Post. So, I did read Kristin Hannah's The Nightingale, and that's how I felt with The Nightingale. I felt like it just drug on and on and on and on forever. And so that was not a 5 out of 5 for me. In Oprah's book club, it's the best books to read. It's on her list of the best books to read. It's the #1 library read picks. Let's see, Washington Post, 50 notable books of the year. It made that list. And it made the best New York Post list for 2018. So it has been out for a while. It's been out for 5 years. You can get this at your library if you don't want to buy books. You can get this on Amazon. I'm sure you can get this at a used bookstore because it's 5 years old. I highly suggest this book. My question to you is, who has read this book? What did you think of it? What was your rating from 1 to 5? Okay, there we are. I highly suggest this book to anybody. So what that is, 549 pages. Just power through it. Okay, what am I reading now? I am reading Lily by Madeline Bennett Edwards. Why does that name sound familiar? Because it is the second book to Catfish. I gave Catfish a 5 out of 5. I'm not going to recap this one, but you can go back into my book reviews. I think I have it in, it's just in books, and I should have a book review for this one. So I just started Lily, and of course it caught me right off because it's a good book, because Catfish was a good book, and Kristin Hannah's The Great Alone was a great book. So in the comments below, I have 2 questions for you. The first one is, did you read this book, and what did you think of it? What do you rate it? Second question, I'm doing a poll. I want to find out. I'm going to write it all out on a big old sheet of paper. What is your favorite book of all time? I know Carol from Plain Vanilla Grandma said that's like picking a favorite child. She is so right. So if you have 3 or 4 and you just can't make a decision on one, write down those 4. But I watched another book channel, and the gal said she did the same thing. She asked, and she got 1,000 people's responses. I had only heard of The Great Gatsby. That's the only book I've heard of. Don't put the Bible in there, please, because that's not what That's a whole different category for me. I want to know what your favorite book is. It can be a religious book, but don't put the Bible in there, because I'm not going to sit down and read the Bible cover to cover for a book review. Okay, that's a whole different category. So, other than the Bible and the flippin' dictionary, what is your favorite book of all times? If you have a tie between 2, 3, 4, and 5, write those down. I really want to know. I want to read some of them. Like I said, this gal had done, I'll try to find that book review that she did. And like I said, I had not heard of any of the books except for The Great Gatsby. So it doesn't have to be a current book. It can be an old book, or it can be a current book. Not a children's book, okay? An actual book. So, okay. You guys have a great Saturday. Take care. I shall see you back here real soon. Bye-bye.